Welcome back to the channel, for my first 10th edition report.
Out for another day of whimsical japes.
Other than the addition of a border to mark the edition change, it's business as usual. For simplicity's sake I decided to break out the Golden Banana Boys, for a match into Sisters. Let's take a look at the rosters. Here are the cards we drew for the battle. Search and Destroy Deployment, Deploy Servo Skulls, and Chilling Rain. And here's Deployment. Since this is a really weird mission where the objectives get constantly moved around, we just use the small objective markers that come in the deck, rather than my large material objective markers. Anyway, I deploy most units pretty well hidden behind terrain, and put the Terminators and my Custodian Guard Squad, led by Trajan, in deep strike. A closer look at the Sisters. Val in her warsuits, and the Sacrosants, are placed aggressively, albeit behind terrain. The Penitent engines are visible, presumably to try and draw me out of hiding. In deep strike it's just Celestine and her Zephyrim. God frickin' damn it, it's like all the Sisters unit names are specifically designed to be hard for TTS to pronounce.
Can you let me do what I need to do?
I get the first turn, and I chose tactical objectives. Somehow I only have a picture of one card, bring it down. Just a heads up, I fucked up the card pictures in this report. Fuck's sake.
Arrest me.
Here's my movement. The Sag Guard and leftmost Caladius move across to target the Penitent engines, and the other Caladius moves to get a beat on the distant Castigator. I don't go for any of the central objectives yet, and my bikes move across to the center, behind terrain. In shooting, combined fire from the Caladius and Sag Guard just about manages to kill both Penitent engines. Oh, and I know my Caladiuses have Iliastas turrets, but I'm using them as heavy blaze cannons, cause that's like the only decent anti-tank we have now. I intend to try and pick up some proper turrets, or maybe kit bash them somehow, but for now I'll just proxy them. The other Caladius leaves the Castigator on 4 wounds. The blaze cannons are pretty crazy, with good strength, AP, and damage, and I didn't even realize they were twin-linked until I started rolling for them.
God, that's good.
I think I could have maybe destroyed the Castigator but just didn't roll great for damage. Anyway, I score points for Bring It Down. I didn't score whatever my other card was. Sisters turn 1, and they went for fixed objectives just for simplicity, namely engage and storm hostile. Here's movement. Val and her retinue take the central objective. The Castigator trundles away behind terrain, and an immolator full of multi-Melta Sisters takes its place. The Sisters get out and are in range of the Caladius which targeted the Castigator last turn. At the top of the board, the Rhino and the other immolator head towards the objective up there. Because I was so conservative last turn, there's actually nothing Sisters can do other than target the Caladius with their multi-Melta squad. I think they got rerolls to wound from fire support from the immolator, but unfortunately they just whiff badly and only get 1 wound through, doing 4 damage.
Yeah, shit me pants, I'll hold my hands up.
No primaries for Sisters yet, so it's on to my turn too. Right, now's the time to be aggressive. I send my jet bikes out ready to charge the warsuits. It was noticeably way more difficult to get them in range, though, due to the changes to fly and their reduced move, but I managed to get one of them fairly close. The Galatus comes out of hiding and heads for the multi-Melta squad, and I deep strike my Terminators down near the bottom right no man's objective. Oh, you may notice the different position of the central objective, too, which my opponent moved last turn. It's now closer to his own deployment, as I think at this stage we were a bit confused about the scoring. It's also debatable what the best way to move it is, as you get more points for having them closer to the enemy deployment zone, but then it's easier for them to be retaken.
It's really very confusing.
Here's a different angle of my backfield so you can see the Sag Guard and jetbike position a bit more clearly. In shooting, the wounded Caladius has a go at taking out the immolator behind the multi-Melta squad. It almost succeeds, but once again comes up just short, this time leaving its target with 2 wounds remaining.
You denied me!
Elsewhere, shooting from the bikes and the SAG guard slays 2 of the warsuits. I turn on the SAG guards once per game, devastating wounds, and I have to say, it's a frickin' nice ability to have. Also, the other Custodes destroys the other immolator, and the heavy flamer squad jumps out. Then, the bikes make their charge into Vol's unit. They finish off the last warsuit, but only put 4 wounds on Vol, as she bosses her and Vunt saves.
God damn it! Oh shit!
In retaliation, she kills a bike and leaves 1 on 1 wound. Yeesh, could have been worse I suppose, but it would have been nice to get rid of her. The Galatus makes its charge into the multi-Melta squad, and kills 4 of the 5. My termies stay on the nearby objective, as I think one of my cards requires me to hold a no man's land objective. All told this turn, I score 2 for primaries and 2 for secondaries. Sisters turn 2. Celestine and her squad come down ready to charge the wounded Custodes. The Sacrosancts square up to the Galatus dreadnought. The heavy flamer squad moves on to the top left objective, backed up by the Repentia Rhino behind them. Also, the wounded Castigator trundles towards the termies, reminding me that tank shock's a thing now.
Oh shit!
A better shot of the center of the board. Celestine stands proudly on the ruins, ready to swoop down. Why can't I say her name? Celestine. Celestine. Ah, there we go. I had to put his head in there.
Hey champ, that's really interesting. Next time, keep it to yourself.
Shooting sees 5 wounds go onto the Galatus, and 1 of the termies wounded. The heavy flamer squad only manages to put 2 wounds onto the SAG guard. Next, we get 3 charges. Sacrosancts and Junith into my dreadnought, Castigator into the termies, and Celestine's unit into the Custodes.
This is where we hold them!
Well, things don't quite go to plan for sisters. Tank shock just whiffs and kills 1 termie, then the other 2 turn round and finish off the tank. The Sacrosancts are wounding the dreadnought on 6s, and it only takes 1 wound, and kills a couple in return. And Celestine and co just bounce off the Custodes, only doing 2 wounds. I think we were both kind of stuck in 9th mode. This is only the second game of 10th for both of us after all, and we're just not yet used to the sheer resilience of some vehicles now.
Shutting your butt down.
To make matters worse, the bikes finish off Morvenval. My opponent unfortunately didn't realize until later in the game that she could come back for 1 CP. Anyway, sisters score 5 for primaries and 2 for secondaries. On to my turn 3. Woo, a picture of my cards, assassination and attempting target.
At last.
For attempting target, my opponent chooses the top left objective. Here's movement. I actually decide to leave my Custodes in combat with Celestine, as I'm not too worried about her killing it, and it handily keeps her tied up.
You're locked in here with me!
On the left, the SAG guard move up ready to tackle the heavy flamers for the objective. They get overwatched on, and lose a model. I also deep strike my custodian guard down here, as with the Repentia still in play I'm worried about losing the battle for this flank. On the right, the bikes and termies prepare to charge in to help out the dreadnought. Slightly more optimistic about this flank.
There's gonna be carnage.
Shooting sees the Rhino deleted, but unfortunately I don't have enough shots left to kill any Repentia. I'm also unable to finish off the wounded immolator on the right flank. The SAG guard then charge in and easily crush the sisters squad, scoring me attempting target, as well as some more primary points. At the end of the turn I shove the objective forward a bit, as I anticipate the Repentia taking it next turn, so I want it further away from my deployment zone. On the right, my combined forces easily muller the entire unit of Sacrosancts, along with Junith, scoring me assassinate. He does then realize he can resurrect characters, though, and brings her back. I think Celestine does nothing at all to the Custodes. So this turn I score big, with 7 for primaries and 10 for secondaries. On to sisters turn 3. There's not a whole lot sisters can do now, to be honest. The immolator tries and fails to bring down the dreadnought. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I resurrected a Terminator last turn too. The Repentia square up to the SAG guard. They charge, and I overwatch. Thanks to my sustained hits rule, I get 4 hits which then becomes 8, and I end up wiping out half the frickin' unit. Blunted, they don't have enough models to overwhelm the SAGs, and get wiped out by my return attacks. Not sure what happens over here, perhaps a suicidal charge from Junith, who then dies. And Celestine still struggles against the Custodes, hoping for some good luck with her devastating wounds, but still leaving the tank on 6 wounds remaining. I think sisters may score no points in turn 3, and here's the board at the end of the turn. With their forces broken, and the custodian guard now free to turn round and butcher Celestine next turn, sisters concede. I make the points something like 36-17 to Custodes. Well, a pretty brutal and interesting battle, and a tough one for sisters. They unfortunately had appalling luck with their miracle dice, and also some pretty poor rolls in general, whereas my Custodes performed well and basically always did what I needed them to do. Not sure what sisters could have done better, to be honest. It does look like a case of index imbalance, which sucks, but we're both still very new to 10th and there were definitely stratagems and tricks both of us missed which could have helped out. Overall, I liked the new rule set, although this particular mission's rules felt a bit weird and unnecessarily complicated. But other than that, a fun match, so thanks to my opponent, and thanks for watching. There'll be more 10th in the near future, although I have a bit less time in general now for making these reports, but I'm still enjoying making them. Anyway, that'll do it for now. See you in the next rep, and if you've not done so yet, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that shiz.